But that is why I quit social media at the peak of my quote unquote influence. Hello. Hi. I literally missed you guys so much. I am so sorry because here I am sitting on my couch, alive and well, I will add, after a year and a half of silence on YouTube and TikTok. And a lot of you guys are probably here because of my TikTok or because of shorts on my YouTube. Maybe you came here through Instagram. I don't know how you got here. Regardless of how you got here, I owe you an apology because it's been an actual year and a half without any explanation of me just going silent, radio silence. And today on this video, I have two very important things to do. My number one thing that I want to do is introduce this new podcast. Okay, so what you're watching right now is not a normal YouTube video or what you're listening to. It's actually a podcast. As you can see, I'm using this very fancy podcast mic. I'm wearing headphones because I can hear myself in the mic talking because I'm on a podcast. Crazy. You know what? I truthfully did not ever think that I had the audacity to start a podcast because really, do I have that much to say? Maybe. I am quite a yapper. I do enjoy a good yap, but I did not think that anyone really cared that much. But I've asked on socials, I've been active on Instagram. I've been asking if people would listen to a podcast, and everybody's saying to do it. And so I'm just here. I'm just a girl sitting in my living room with a freaking, I don't know if that's bad to say, with a janky, actually the most jankiest lighting setup in the world. Jankiest is not a word, but it is. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Let me just tell you what's happening here. I have a stool from my kitchen with a suitcase on top of it with my ring light on a mini tripod that is actually for my camera, which I screwed the I screwed the ring light off of my tripod that I put my camera on. Not, you guys don't care about this, but I'm already in. I traded the tiny mini handheld tripod thing that was on my camera with my ring light. So now my ring light is on a mini tiny handheld tripod on top of a suitcase on top of a stool, and then my camera is on my ring light tripod. I just wasted so much time saying that, but here we are. Regardless, this is probably going to be the vibe of the podcast because I'm so ADHD. Like, I can't even keep one story straight, but this is just me talking to myself. So this is what you're getting. And if you're new here to this channel, please, if you would like to, you don't have to, subscribe and become a part of this community. Oh, amazing. My baby's waking up right now. She's barely slept all day. I'm just going to hope she goes back down. Because I'm filming this during her nap time. I've already tried to do it twice and she's woken up. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Anyways, regardless, I just want to introduce this podcast. It's called the Jesus Girlies Podcast. Why is it called the Jesus Girlies Podcast? You know, because we're all just Jesus girlies. We're all just girls who love Jesus. I think 90% of my audience is girls, probably following me for Christian content. So that's who we are. We're Jesus girlies. And you know what? I was wanting more community. I wanted to connect in a more personal way with my following. And that's been my goal this year. And so I started a Discord called the Jesus Girlies Discord. And it just kind of hit. Everyone wants to be a Jesus girly. We all want to be in the Jesus Girlies Club because it's a cool, amazing club to be in. And it's not exclusive. Everyone is welcome. The only requirement is that you love Jesus or you want to love Jesus, but you don't know how. And so you come here to learn more about him. So it's not even for one particular type of girl. It's for every girl. It's for the single girl. It's for the dating girl. It's for the married girl. It's for the divorced girl even. It's for the widow. someone who lost her husband. It's for the mom. It's for the woman who's not a mom. It's for the adoptive mom. It's for every kind of woman. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. We're going to talk about the real stuff of life on the Jesus Girlies podcast. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I think we should just jump into it. So number one, that's what we're talking about, or that's what I wanted to say, is that this is the Jesus Girlies podcast, and this is the first episode. So welcome. If you're here, you're watching the pilot episode, and we're going to figure this out together as we go. We're going to have lots of guests on here. We're going to talk about a lot of different testimonies, Jesus stories. We're going to go into the Bible. We're going to do all the things, but we're just going to be hanging out on our couch, not our couch. This is my couch. We're going to be hanging out on my couch together, and we're going to be going after the Lord. And that's what this is all about. So if you want to be a part of that, I would love for you to be. It would be so cool, actually, if you could take a second and comment down below. It will help boost this video. More Jesus Girlies will be able to join us. And then also, I'd love for you to just comment, like, where you're from so that I can see where you're from, a little bit about you. Because, again, this is a lot less about me and a lot more about us. And so welcome to the Jesus Girlies. So I've already been talking for 7 minutes, and we haven't even started the podcast. So let's dive into it because I don't want to waste your time. Basically, this is going to be a short episode. Well, it's already 7 minutes, but it's going to be this segment of it. It's going to be pretty short. I just want to talk about why I disappeared off of social media for a year and a half when I was at the peak of my influence, quote unquote. A lot of people have asked me, why did you stop making content? People are like afraid that I fell away from the Lord. I promise you, I did not fall away from the Lord. I'm like more on fire than like I've ever been. I feel like I'm more reliant on God than I've ever been. I'm more free than I've ever been. I am just like ultimately in this space of just like being seen by God, and that's like so satisfying to me. And I feel like, actually, just to dive in, I used to really make content unknowingly from this place of needing to find satisfaction in the approval of people and the praise of man. And it actually ended up burning me. And that's what this episode is about. So just to give you a little bit of context, if you're new here, so back in 2020, I started preaching on TikTok. Yes, I was a wait, don't scroller. I'm sorry. Like, it worked. It actually helped me reach so many people. Now I look back at it. Yes, I'm cringed out. I truly am cringed out. I was cringed out. I don't even know if that's a thing people say. I was cringed out when I was doing it. Like, I felt cringy. I used to actually make Chip leave the room. This mic is heavy. Goodness gracious. I used to make Chip leave the room because I was so, like, awkward and cringy. I couldn't even make content in front of my own husband. Chip's my husband, by the way. And yes, it was cringy, but I reached so many people along with my Jesus Clubs community. So, you know what? I could knock it because it's cringy, but at the same time, it worked, and it actually was a tool that God used to reach a lot of people. So 2020, my TikTok kind of blows up. Later that year, I'm like, I really feel from the Lord that I need to start YouTube. But YouTube in my mind was a beast. Like, I couldn't even fathom making a YouTube video because it felt like so much work. But then shorts started happening on YouTube, and I started uploading my TikToks to YouTube as shorts, and that was really what caused my YouTube channel to blow up, not these long form videos. So this always feels really vulnerable to me. It feels weird. It's not in my lane, but at the same time, I just feel like it's so much more valuable than a 1 minute video. Like, there's only so much you can say and so much you can do in a 1 minute video. So all that to say, I started some, YouTube moments here and there. The YouTube blew up. The TikTok blew up. I think that I had like 700K on TikTok and then 450K-ish subscribers on YouTube. So I don't know what that is. I'm bad at math. At the same time as I'm getting all this influence and people are looking to me as like a spiritual leader in their life, like lots of people on TikTok and YouTube looking to me, I personally am growing further and further away from Jesus. And I want to break down why I think this happened. I think, first of all, when you can start something from a place of purity, which I genuinely know that I did. Like, I truly think that I have an evangelistic gift, and I was from such a pure place in COVID, wanting to reach people that would never step foot in a church, but they might scroll on a For You page. And I wanted to get the gospel in front of millions of people. And that's why I worked so hard. And the problem is, this is why people say that power and fame and influence will crush you if you're depending on power, fame, and influence to validate you. And that's why I think God actually withholds from some people the power and the fame and the influence, because they're not ready to handle it. And I think for me, I was ready to handle it, but I did not stay disciplined in my life. It started feeding this thing in my heart that I didn't even know was there. That was like this desire and this need to be seen by people or to be validated by people. And I think that actually came in my life through rejection, like a feeling of never being good enough, a feeling of always needing to strive, not knowing that I was loved and seen by God, like in a really deep place. Like, I knew it in my head and I could say it to you, but I don't know if I really had experienced it in my heart. And so what was so crazy is that as I'm blowing up on social media, and this is the R-rated version of my story, my husband and I are struggling so much in our marriage. Like, I'm realizing in my marriage at that time, because the marriage really exposed a lot of this for me privately, that I have a massive issue with rage and anger, and it really is triggered through rejection. So I have this perfect storm in my life of like private struggle and honestly depression, even suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts, self-hatred, and all that wildness, while publicly I'm getting so much attention and praise and approval from people. This dynamic of struggling so much internally, and in my marriage, and then getting so much notoriety and influence, like, you know, the follows, the likes, the shares, everything, the brand deals, all this stuff started coming. It felt really good. You know, it feels really good for every human. We all have this desire and this need to be seen, to be successful in the world's eyes, you know. It's part of just being a person. And for me, it came at a really vulnerable time where I was struggling so much, and it almost formed this like somewhat of an addiction for me to the praise of people. And, you know, I remember feeling like, okay, like, you know what? I didn't read my Bible today. I didn't read my Bible this week, but I know how to fabricate a video. Like, I know, not fabricate, that makes it sound fake, but I know what to say to go viral. I know what the people want to hear, you know, and it can almost turn into this weird form of like manipulation where you're not trying to be manipulative, but you also aren't stopping yourself from doing what you know is going to work, even though your heart's not in it. And to be honest, for me, I just went in this place for quite a long time where my heart was so just dead. I just felt like I just felt truly like I was just a dead person walking around. My heart had lost the vision of why I even started doing it. And I just felt all this pressure to keep going because I was this influencer, this person that people were looking to. But internally, I was struggling so much. And I just got to this point where I was like, I can't keep doing this. And this conviction hit me. Like, this is literally what the Pharisees do. This is what people do who end up falling away, and they're public figures, and they have these crazy falls or these crazy moral failures, these sin issues. And I credit the Lord, obviously, because I felt just this, it wasn't a big encounter. It was just this still small voice of the Lord, just in his faithfulness. Like, he never left me. He knew that I was far from him, and he kept pursuing me, but he was inviting me to step away and deal with that thing in my heart. I ended up stepping away from social media basically like the summer of 2022. not like in a formal way, just kind of like gradually stepping back, not making as much content. And, truthfully, I was burnt out on making content anyway. So, but I stopped making content, and we worked on our marriage so much. We got to such a good place. We had an amazing summer that summer. And we ended up getting pregnant in around October 2022. And that was really when I was like, okay, I'm going to take this next season and I'm going to get right with the Lord. I'm not going to seek God from a place of I need to get revelation so that I can do ministry. I just need to seek God because I feel dead inside personally. Internally, I still knew like I had this angst with the Lord where I just felt like I didn't know him anymore, and I felt like I couldn't feel him anymore. I couldn't hear his voice the way that I used to, and that wasn't on him. That was on me. I allowed that influence and that fame, quote unquote, light fame. But I allowed that, and all the likes and the shares and the comments and all of that, I allowed that to steal from my personal intimacy with Jesus. And that's actually the worst place that you can be as a Christian influencer or a Christian leader. And so, I was really brought to this verse in Matthew. It's right here. I have my Bible. And it says in Matthew 15, I just heard this ringing in my mind so much in that season. Verse 8, the people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. And I genuinely believe that is the biggest recipe for disaster when it comes to being in ministry. And I was like, Lord, far be it from me that I will be one of those people that on the outside looks shiny and polished and knows all the right words to say in the flesh. Like, I'm smart enough to manufacture a message. I know what to say to get the likes. I know what to say to get the shares and the follows. But God, man looks at the outward appearance and God looks at the heart. And I knew at the end of the day, I had to be standing before God on Judgment Day, and he was going to look at me and he was going to say, depart from me, for I never knew you. You cast out demons in my name. You did all this ministry, but I didn't know you, and you didn't know me. You didn't prioritize me, like in the secret place. And I just think it's so common for people in ministry, and people don't talk about this enough, but it's so common for people in ministry to be in this place. They have the anointing, they have the gifting, they do and say all the right things. They can preach the lights out, but their hearts are far from God because they gained influence and power, and they let that rip them from the secret place because they started caring more about what people thought about them than what God thought about them. They started like losing the fear of the Lord and being ruled by the fear of man. And that was my story. And so I just pulled the plug. I was like, God, I have so much fear of the Lord. I'd rather you completely remove me from all of my platforms, from anyone seeing me. I'm going to go complete hiddenness for this next season until you release me back into this, and until my heart is burning for you again. I'm not going to put my face on social media. I'm not going to be a teacher because teachers, the Bible says, are judged more harshly. I need to humble myself before you, Lord. I need to deal with this thing in my heart that needs to be seen by people if I'm ever going to have any level of real influence or success in my ministry. And success to me in my ministry just looks like being fully in love with Jesus and letting that whatever the overflow is from that be the overflow. Does that make sense? So ministry comes from this overflow in my heart. And so I pulled the plug and I went just like actual cold turkey. I was like, I'm not making any content. I might make some stuff for me just for fun with my baby, but I'm not going to teach. I'm not going to, take this place of influence anymore. And I had the most amazing thing happen. It was back in it was about a year ago now, back in February or March of 2023 when I was pregnant with my daughter. And I was at a Bible study, and this amazing woman of God who's a mentor of mine she's like, I just feel like I'm supposed to pray for you. So, we start praying, and she just gets this very simple word for me. And the word was that God sees me. And I don't know why, but I've heard people say that 1,000 times. We've all heard, oh, God loves you, God sees you. But for some reason, like, it hit me in the depths of my heart, because I realized I had been desiring to be seen more by people than by God. And maybe that's a little bit because I felt like God didn't see me. It just hit me in such, like, a ton of bricks. It pierced my heart. And I just felt the pleasure of God. Like, hey, I see the work you're doing. I see that you're obeying me. I see that you're choosing to give up this thing that you've built. I see you. I love you. I'm with you. Like, I see you in your bedroom when you're resting because you're pregnant. Like, I see you when you're not preaching, when nobody knows that you're reading your Bible, but you're doing it because you love me. Like, it was just this, like, life-changing moment, and it was so simple. And truly, that was a year ago. From that moment on, I got, like, delivered of something. Like, I think I got delivered from this just idea that, like, I needed people's approval in order to be, like, a good, like, Christian. Like, I needed to be impressive. I needed to, like, offer something to the world. And the reality is, of course, we want to offer something to the world. We're called to make disciples. We're called to influence people for God, but not, like, at the expense of our intimacy with him. Like, and it should be from a place of intimacy with him that we're moved to doing this. So, I've been already going for a while now, but we're going to wrap it up. But that is why I quit social media at the peak of my quote unquote influence. And then, what happened is I had a baby. So that was a thing too. I wasn't really feeling that hot. I didn't really want to post myself during that time. I was like a whale, pretty much. And then I actually almost died in childbirth, which will be probably the next episode maybe, or an episode soon where I'm telling my birth story and how the Lord actually intervened and saved my life through some crazy, crazy miracles. But back in September, after my baby was born, I just felt the release from God again to start creating content. And I've been working on ideating this podcast and just really developing lots of vision and ideas for, what the Lord wants to do with my platform. And here we are. We're here. We're actually recording it now. And that's it, guys. That's it. Thank you for being here today. I'm not going to drag this out. I love you so much. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram if you want to get connected at kj.messick. Join our Jesus Girlies Discord. The link's in my Instagram bio, and I'll post it below here. Share this video with a friend. Tell somebody about it. Maybe they want to be a Jesus Girly too. And I'm so thankful for you being here today. I love you so much, and I will see you on the next episode of the Jesus Girlies Podcast. Goodbye. I love you.